called Djibouti, Togo, Burundi, Rwanda, Central African Republic, even Ghana, even Eswatini. As a matter of fact, all the African countries. They have a joke that says husband and wife were sleeping in bed, and when they woke up, because it was so arbitrary, the way the lines were just drawn in Berlin now, with total disregard for the people on the continent. So husband and wife were in bed, and when they woke up, the wife was in Zambia and the husband was in Malawi. That's how arbitrary the ordinance was. One of the Queen of England was visiting at one point in Kenya, and the granddaughter says, "But Grandma, I like Mount Kilimanjaro." See, Mount Kilimanjaro used to be all in Tanzania. And Grandma said, "No problem," gave instructions, move the border of Kenya over there. So my granddaughter can have part of Kenya from the, part of Kilimanjaro, Mount Kilimanjaro from the Kenyan side. King Leopold says, "Well, I just don't have enough copper in the DRC, in the Congo. Why don't you just carve out, this part of Zambia?" So that's why that Zambia has this funny shape. King Leopold just wanted a little bit more copper. So he just cut it out. So you start driving from Zambia, you're speaking English. Pretty soon you're in Angola, you're speaking Portuguese. Pretty soon you're in DRC, you're speaking French. Pretty soon you're in Equatorial Guinea, you're speaking Spanish. Pretty soon you are in Cameroon, you're speaking English again. Then above, you're speaking French. Then above, you are in Ghana, you're speaking English. You see how arbitrary it was? And it was all by design to give maximum destruction of the people. People who were once one kingdom, one big family, they were divided up. They said, give them one generation, they'll never know each other. So Berlin Conference, they met to see to it that Africa and its people are forever defeated and dominated. 124 years ago, nothing has changed. Are you with me? A strategy put together to see to it that we are going to be small economies that can never really survive on their own, small economies that can easily be destabilized. So as if that wasn't bad enough, during the Berlin Conference, they also implemented the rule of divide and conquer. Let's make these black people think everything about them is bad, everything African, and everything Western, particularly European, France and Germany in particular then, was better and more desirable. And they set on to teach us that you can't really like even your brother. Everything about Africa is bad. That includes your own family members. Your own traditions, disregard them. And you always align with us. As if that wasn't bad enough. 1958, there they decided, we want to give up these colonies. We're going to give them independence. So what did they do? I liken it to, they had put us in these little countries that are African countries. At that time, we had walls made up of, sticks. When they gave us independence, I want you to think about this. They gave us the flags. We went from having silos made up of wooden structures to silos made up of concrete. Because when we raised that flag and said, I'm now Nigerian, and then we raised the flag and said, I'm now Ghana, the divisions were concretized. Are you with me? Some people. And we celebrated independence. We didn't realize that we were really locking ourselves in these concrete silos that we will not be able to get out of. France did something even more just diabolical. Told the Francophone African countries that for you to be independent of France, you got two choices. You either can be independent with no attachment to France, or you can be independent with some affiliations to France. They never imagined any country would want to not be affiliated to France. To their surprise, Guinea and Mali said, "Thank you, France, but it's time for you to pack your bags and go home." In their anger, history tells us that France went into those two countries, took everything that they thought they had brought to those two countries. To hear Mugabe say it, they even took the last teaspoon and chair in the country. The then newly appointed president of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, in his efforts to help these two countries, created the first ever known union of any African states, which were Ghana, Guinea, and Mali. The other countries were forced to sign a document which France called the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. The Pact for the Continuation of Colonization said, "We brought you table and chairs and told you to eat with a fork and knife. We built a few schools and a few roads to carry your mineral resources out of your country. We built a few hospitals. We shall call that colonial debt. For that you will pay to perpetuity." To this day, the African countries are still paying colonial debt to France. They said, "You monkeys, you don't know how to manage money. You will deposit 85% of your bank reserves with the French Ministry of Finance under the French Minister of Finance. The French Minister of Finance shall take all your bank reserves, collectively pool them together, invest them in the French stock market under the French name. You may or may not know of what those returns are, but those returns are still also under the control of the French. Should you mean to tap into some of your own money that you have deposited with France, you have to submit financial reports for the country. And if approved, you can only access up to 20% of that money as a loan at commercial interest rate. Your own money. To this day, African countries are still depositing their bank reserves with the French Minister of Finance. That figure has now gone down to about 65%. And they still have no control of their money. France said, "We will print your money for you." So France created a special currency just for the Africans. It's called the CFA. But they also said only France can print it for you. To this day, African countries, Francophone countries, they don't print their own money. France took it a step further and said, all your mineral resources discovered and yet to be discovered, all your oil discovered and yet to be discovered, France has the first right of refusal. To this day, that is still the case. The mineral resources, the mines, the oil rigs, they're being run by French companies and worked by French people. Took it a step further. They said, "We shall have military presence in your country. You can only have your soldiers, your army, your military trained by the French and no one else. And that you can only buy your military equipment from France and nowhere else. That they have the right to invade your country without notice if they feel that French interests are being violated. You can only have military alliance with France and nobody else, not even your neighbors, your brothers and sisters. Your language of instruction shall be French, and that France will print your textbooks." Now, my fellow children, if you were to be appointed president of one of those countries today, and tomorrow, first day in office, your chief of staff walks in and says, "Mr. President, allow me to read you the do's and don'ts as stipulated by the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization." What power do you have?
Zero.
No, thank you. They also have, the latest status figures are saying, France is taking over $500 billion out of Africa because of the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. And for every 14 billion that they take, after they invest it in the French stock market, they're realizing upwards of 300 billion. I repeat, they're taking over 500 billion out of Africa. For every 14 billion invested, they're realizing upwards of 300 billion. So in actuality, France is taking out of Africa trillions of dollars. Are you with me? Do you see how suddenly, when they try to talk to you, I'm not saying we shouldn't talk about it, corruption in Africa. They say corruption in Africa, about 50 billion gets out of Africa every year because of corruption. Wow. So let's put the 50 billion out of corruption. You also realize they don't tell you where it's going, huh? They tell you 50 billion is coming out of Africa, but they don't tell you where it's going. May I remind you, corruption is a team sport? We gotta know all the players. You're gonna tell us it's coming out of Africa. We want the entire team, so we can deal with it. But they don't tell you that. They just want to stop with the African side. Be it as it may, we're not saying it's correct. It's wrong. We must condemn it at every level. 50 billion is coming out of Africa from corrupt people in Africa. Trillions are coming out of Africa from corrupt France. Do you see how quickly the 50 billion suddenly becomes the larger crumb under the table? They want us to spend time killing each other over who got the larger crumb under the table, so we keep from going on the table where the real deal is. But be it as it may, that is our status of affairs. Now do you begin to see what I mean by, when we now talk about our youth crossing the Mediterranean, going into Europe because of unemployment? Why are we unemployed in Africa? If we could keep the 500 billion in Africa, can you imagine what we could do with that? If we could have control of our own natural resources, can you imagine how many jobs we could create? Right. If we could run the oil rigs, can you imagine how many jobs we could create? But instead, our natural resources are being taken out to create jobs for others. How many of you have listened to the Vice Deputy Prime Minister of Italy and his accusations of France? Finally, they're speaking the truth. The issue is not about the young people crossing the Mediterranean. It's what France is doing in Africa that's creating conditions that make it impossible for the individual countries to truly sustain themselves. Are you following me? Yeah. I'm not saying we don't have problems, don't get me wrong. We do have problems. But rather than complain about the dried leaves of the tree, and I'm not saying we should not complain about the dried leaves, but why keep complaining about the dried leaves that are gonna die and come back the next season, die and come back the next season, when the real issue here is in the root and we're not addressing it? Why aren't we as Africans enraged by what is being done to Africa, particularly by France? Why aren't we getting demonstrations across the continent about what France is doing? But instead, we are made to concentrate on things that even if they change today, they will appear again tomorrow, because the real issues here are not being addressed. So I wanted to have this conversation with you young people so you can really understand and see our Africa with 2020 vision, to really know what the real issues are. Yes, we have issues of corruption, no question about it. We must address it. Yes, we have issues of youth unemployment, no question about it. Yes, we have issues of lack of access to education and healthcare, no question about it. But these are issues that if certain issues, fundamental issues, are addressed, the fight against these other issues will be a little less steep hill. So, where do we go from here? It starts with our understanding of our Africa and reminding ourselves that we cannot be the definition of Albert Einstein.